When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and today we are on episode 208. And, in the last episode, we talked a lot about self-imposed barriers and the things that we allow ourselves to create survival for ourselves. Well, this podcast is about designing your life, not becoming a victim. And we've never had an expert on our show before talk about sound and how sound heals. I've been to sound healing sessions and I've been bathed in sound and I absolutely love them, but we've never brought them to the forefront as it actually being a podcast episode. We've maybe talked about experiences that we've had in our past, but expert Ashana is here today with us. And she's going to be explaining to us all about how she got into doing what she's doing today, of being a premier healing artist. And we're going to talk more about how sound heals. But before we get to Ashana, I do want to thank today's sponsor of today's episode, Beyond Basil Mobile Pizzeria. We're passionate about bringing the authentic flavors of Italy right to your event and wedding. Our mobile pizzeria is a culinary adventure on wheels where we craft artisanal pizzas using the finest ingredients in traditional Neapolitan techniques. Whether you're craving a classic margarita or looking to explore one of our unique flavor combinations, our skilled pizziolas are here to create mouth-watering pizzas that will tantalize your taste buds. With our commitment to quality and exceptional service, we aim to provide an unforgettable dining experience for every one of our guests. Explore our menu and book us for your next wedding, and follow us on Instagram at Beyond Basil Pizza, and find us online at Beyond Basil Pizza, mobilepizzeria.com. Got it. All right, let's get back to Ashana. I'm so excited for this. I got to put on my glasses so I can read what I've got in front of me here. Ashana is one of the premier healing music artists and new age vocalist of our time, weaving together soaring angelic vocals and the celestial sounds of alchemy crystal singing bowls. This exquisitely crafted sonic tapestry has been hailed by listeners all over the world as breathtaking and a gift from heaven. Ashana's best-selling music from All Is Forgiven, Jewels of Silence, Beloved, The Infinite Heart, River of Light, Celestial Sheep, and The Illuminated Path have been downloaded and streamed by millions of fans around the world. A lifelong student of yoga and mantra for many of the world's spiritual traditions, Ashana has led 2 online groups meditating, touching the lives of more than 20,000 people in 50 countries. Ashana, welcome to today's show.
Hi, Colleen. Thank you for that introduction.
Those are beautiful that you've created all of these. So I love to start with my listeners and really, going back to that story, that powerful story of where that leap occurred from you, right? We all have these pivotal moments in our lives that get us to where we are in what we call our second or a third act of our lives. And I read a lot about you, and I would love for you to share with our listeners more about that big leap that you took.
Well, it was actually a series of, I would have to say, 2 big leaps. And the first leap happened when my first crystal singing bowl showed up on my doorstep. It was in 1999 or 1998, I think. And I was living in rural New Mexico outside of Santa Fe. And I was teaching music, and I was working, and I was singing and doing all the things that I enjoyed doing, but I was also working, for and I got a phone call from a friend of mine, and she said, "Have you ever heard of crystal singing bowls?" I said, "No." She goes, "These are right up your alley." So that was the moment I said, "Sure." I just ordered one, sight unseen. I didn't know anything about it. You got to remember, at this time, There was nothing called sound healing. Okay. It was like right now, sound healing is trending everywhere. It is experiencing what yoga experienced when it first came to the West, and it's now literally just infusing itself in every part of the globe.
Yeah.
Point in time, nobody knew what a sound bath was, let alone a crystal singing bowl. So I got this call. I said, sure, I'll do this. 3 weeks later, this bowl shows up on my doorstep. It's in a huge, gigantic box. I put it in, took it into my kitchen, put it on the table, took it out of the boxes that it was in, placed it on the table on its little O-ring. It was this big white, what we call now classic frosted crystal singing bowl. That's not what you're seeing behind me. It was the precursor to these. And I tapped the side of the bowl and I immediately burst into tears. I started sobbing. And the first thought that I had was that light had come to live in my house.
Mm.
And the second thought I had was one day I'm going to put these into music. And I'd been a singer-songwriter for a long time. It took me about 6 years from that point in time, where we kind of fast forward to 2005. Now, after I got my first bowl, literally 3 weeks later, I had 7. It was just like a done deal for me. And I started doing what's now called sound baths. I didn't know this. I was making it up as I was going along and just working in different places in the community. And people were having these experiences as I was playing. And they would call me up the next day, or they would tell me a week later and say, this happened, this happened, this happened while you were doing this. And this, there were no guides, there were no mentors, there were no teachers. You couldn't get a certification. I mean, literally, as a pioneer of this, I was walking blind in a snowstorm. So about 5 years later, I had this feeling. I'd been developing my work, and I said, it's time. I need to go and I need to make an album. I need to start making, this was when we had CDs. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, it's time for me to make my CDs. And that was something that I'd been thinking about for many, 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 many years. It wasn't like a first thought. I knew that, for about 20 years, I was destined to be a recording artist, but I didn't know what form it was going to look like. There came this pivotal point in time where I sold my business. I had this feeling. I said, you're done. I was teaching music to young children. I was running 17 classes a week. And I was at this place where I could either dive deeper into that work, follow my dream. And it really was this place where it was like the T in the road. Do I go this way? Do I go this way? And both were okay, right? But one was leading to major joy, and the other felt like I was constricted and I was being held back. And so I sold my business, had one buyer, okay? Sold my business to the one buyer that showed up to buy it, and I let everything go. And I made this album. And the day that I closed on my business was the day that I met my producer, Thomas Barkey. And 3 months
How
later,
did you meet him? Was he just in the room, or well, was he an extra person that showed up? Where did he come from?
bizarre. It was the most incredible story. I mean, I was taking a yoga class, and I'd been in this yoga class for a long, many, 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 many months. And I was lying back in Shavasana, which is like the rest period after you do.
Love it.
Right? I was lying back in Shavasana, and I hear this music playing. There's actually a very famous singer in the yoga world. Her name is Sanatam Kaur. And I was listening to this music. I had no idea what I was listening to, but I said, whoever that man is, and I didn't know it was a man, whoever that person is that produced this album, he's the one.
Yeah.
And I called up my yoga teacher afterwards and I said, who is that? Who is that guy? And she gives me his name, and I go online only to find out that he's going to be in Santa Fe in 2 weeks. Literally, I'm not kidding when I tell you this. He's going to be in Santa Fe in 2 weeks. And it happened to be the day that I closed my business. So I went from the bank to the concert hall, and I sat in the concert hall. There's a marvelous story about that. We don't have time, but it's a marvelous story about what happened to me and how scared I was to go up. But I went up to him. I waited until everybody was out of the hall. There were 700, 800 people at this concert. I waited. I stood on the stairs. I was the last person he looked at. And I put my hand out. You know, I have an unusual first name. I put my hand out. I introduced myself. I said, "Hi, that was beautiful. My name is Ashana." And he goes, "Ashana, I have a daughter, and her best friend is named Ashana. How are you? How can I help you?" And it was like love at first sight. And literally, we got together 2 days later, and we're on the phone in 2 weeks. 3 months later, I was in the studio. We made our first album, which has literally gone on to be a classic in the field.
Mm,
There's an Ave Maria on that album that has healed so many people from grief, chronic pain, um, recovery. People use it for birthings, for transitions.
mm,
Even tell you that what that album has done. It has literally sold millions and millions and millions of copies around the world. And for Thomas and I, it has been this consistent act of love. We were literally pioneering, and we created a new genre of music
mm.
that had never been experienced before at that level. And
Yeah, it's beautiful.
we're together today. I mean, we're 18 years, we still work together.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, and all of you can go to our YouTube channel as well. Her singing bowls that she has behind her are just absolutely beautiful, and I'm sure you have a story for every single bowl that sits behind you. Where you bought it, when you bought it, why you bought it. There's a story, right, for every bowl.
Well, yes, but more importantly than the story behind why I purchased them was this is these are living consciousness. I know it's hard for people to believe, but I've had so many mystical and metaphysical experiences with my bowls where they've spoken to me, they've shown me, they come in as a very distinct consciousness, and each one of these beautiful beings has that.
Mm.
They I know it sounds crazy for some people. They'll think like, what? This woman is nuts. But they do clairaudiently speak to me. And they show me when it's time to bring another one in or who to play together. They've brought me experiences of awakening, of healing, of realization, of cleansing and clearing tremendous difficulties and challenges in my life. Sound healing has been a profound ally in my own personal healing and in the healing of so many people that I haven't even I don't even know who they are because my music and the work that I do has touched them.
That was a beautiful lead in to my next question that you didn't even know that I had ready, which was, how does sound heal? Talk us through that. And when you first touched your bowl, you said you cried and wept and thought, the light has been brought into my home to live here with me. Tell me how sound, and you can talk about the scientific side of it, you can talk about the spiritual side of it, the sound bowls that are created and utilized and bathed for people. Explain how that heals, how sound can heal for us.
This is such a big topic.
Yeah.
So I just want to let people know that we're really touching the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg with this. When you hear the sound of bowls, and I'm just going to talk specifically about bowls for a moment, because it's good to understand that sound healing has been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. First of all, most people don't realize this, But in ancient Greece, the musicians were considered physicians. There is sound healing in every single culture on the earth. It is used ceremonially. It is basically used on certain levels to bring people back into alignment with themselves, back into their hearts, to quiet the mind down from stress, from disorientation. You know, in our modern times, we use sound and music as one of the only ways to reach people with Alzheimer's and dementia is through music. Some of your listeners may not be aware of this, but that work has been done and been researched for decades, which is why it's such a valuable component in working with that particular population. But what happens when we listen to sound? You have to remember that our brain waves, when we are feeling very disturbed or distressed or ultra busy, and the mind, especially our techno culture right now, where we have so much input, it's constant. We need to shift in order to be quiet. And we don't know how to be quiet in our culture anymore because we have constant input from radios, from internet, from conversation, and the speed of our culture is moving faster and faster and faster. And people are becoming more and more and more disconnected from nature, from the earth, and from an ability to come into themselves and literally experience their own presence, their own quiet, their own silence. It's my experience for many, many years that the ability to go into that place of silence is the first step of all healing of all kinds of illnesses, whether it's mental or physical. We need to go into ourselves because when we do that, when we find that place where the stress drops away, where the constant chatter of the mind drops away, our own innate wisdom appears and leads us and guides us to our next steps. We can't access that until we can quiet the mind. And sound healing gives us this opportunity, number one, to quiet our minds down, to allow our nervous system to relax at a very, very deep level. It recalibrates our brain and brings our neural pathways into a sense of coherence with our heart and with our nervous system. And from that place, healing can happen. So with pure tone sound frequencies, like the sound frequencies of the crystal singing bowls, we literally entrain to those frequencies. I'll go back again, our nervous systems and all the neurotransmitters in our brain, as soon as they hear the sound, they start relaying because it comes through our ears, and from our ears, it goes into the central nervous system, then it goes into our brain, and then the information gets passed to every single part of our body. This is part of the miracle of sound. You can take a person into a very noisy environment and create a very agitated human being. You can bring a person into a quiet environment with one sound bowl and literally play that bowl for 3 minutes to 5 minutes, and they will drop in, the mind will quiet down, and they will begin to relax. Respiration will shift, heart rate will shift. Digestion will be healed. I have seen literally miracle upon miracle and upon miracle through sound and vibrational healing. And it takes a lot of different forms. It's not just the form of crystal singing bowls. It can be drumming, it can be chanting, it can be mantra, it can be singing. So sound healing is ubiquitous in our culture, but we've forgotten it, and we're just now reconnecting.
You know how when children are younger, I have 13 grandkids, so I've seen the instructions from my kids and they tell me what to do in their rooms when they go to sleep. And a lot of them play white noise, and it's so that the child is, it's dark and there's white noise, and then they can't hear what's going on in the rest of the house. So they relax a little bit easier. What would change if a person went to sleep with the sounds of, or plain sounds like crystal bowls, or like you talk about drumming, or something that is of a healing nature, to relax in the evening, to be comforted into sleep?
I am so glad you asked this question because Thomas and I created a project called Celestial Sleep. And,
Mm,
and it's 2 hours that you can put on repeat. And we designed this album to do just this. And we've had so much feedback from people that use this specifically to relax. And you start playing it about 20 minutes before you go to sleep. And we have a series of very gentle, positive affirmations to lead the body into deep relaxation, to dream state, to using the healing state, to using the sleep state to heal the body, heal the mind, heal the,
mm,
and we walk you through that. And it's this um, alternation of these affirmations, and then it goes into uh, just the music itself. The music is going on the entire time, crystal singing bowls, uh, and then the affirmations become quieter and quieter until they dissipate, and then it moves into 90 minutes of delta waves with the music. People tell me, so I'm just going to give you anecdotally what people tell me. Their sleep is better than it has ever been before.
mm.
Their lives are beginning to shift because they wake up feeling more positive, more optimistic about themselves. They're more relaxed during the day. So this is just a simple example of what music like that can do. They sleep deeper, they sleep longer, they don't wake up as much in the middle of the night. And they're literally retraining their brains, their minds to a higher state of health and well-being overnight.
I love that. So you heard it here, Celestial Sleep. Go find that. And where do they find that? Is that going to be on YouTube?
You can find a little bit of it on YouTube, but the
Yeah.
full music download is only available on my website. That's soundofashana.com.
Soundofashana.com. So I'm highlighting that one, and I'm going to go look for that one tonight and test it for myself, because I love white noise at night when I sleep. And I actually listen to thunderstorms and rain because that's a memory of mine that I love and relaxes me. So I'm moving to this celestial sleep. That's what I'm doing tonight. I was just curious how sound heals. And we've heard so many different pieces that Ashana has shared today on how sound can heal us. And Ashana, where else should we direct our listeners to find more of your music, or to follow you on social media? Where would you like them to go?
Well, you can definitely go to Instagram and Facebook, and if you love streaming, go to my YouTube platform, which have lots and lots and lots of music and videos
Yeah.
there, and go to Spotify. You can stream me on Spotify with millions of other listeners every month. So
And you have a free gift today, the meditation on the golden light of healing.
this comes from a project that we're just now releasing, which is a powerful healing music project called Celestial Alignment for Healing. And this is the seminal meditation from that particular project. That meditation is 15 minutes long. It will guide you into a very deep state of healing, bringing in golden light to heal and bringing you into full heart coherence with your soul. People that have used this meditation have profound healing experiences, as they do from the entire Celestial Alignment for Healing program. We have people that have dropped medications, ended chemotherapy early, um, moved from states of chronic anxiety and depression into not
Mm,
their medication any longer. So
that's beautiful.
yeah, sound does amazing, amazing things.
Yeah, I do feel that God has given us everything we need for healing, right here on Earth, including Mother Earth, and the energy from Earth. And I truly believe in sound. And I'm just thankful that you ordered your first bowl and that you have listened to the calling of what it is that you need to be doing, and that your producer was there that day in your yoga class, have produced that music uh, for you to know. And we talked about this on the last episode. Everything starts aligning very easily. And that moment when you start taking that path, you talked about this fork in the road of, do I keep doing what I'm doing, which I know I feel like is okay and I like it, but I'm really being held back from what my true potential is. But this other path, that is true joy and bliss and where I feel my future needs to be. And this is the second episode, well, probably third or fourth episode in a row, where we've really talked about, when are you going to take the leap? When are you going to design the life that you truly desire to live? That regrets are real. And many people have them in countless numbers at the end of their life. And I just won't be one of them. I refuse to. And I always live my life on purpose, in happiness and joy, in the things that make me happy. And I think I know it's so important. And Ashana, you explained that today. And for those of you that are just being introduced to sound, I'm going to encourage you to start by at least following Ashana on social media, learning more, stepping your toes in, going to her website, downloading the free meditation, starting with that. I'm going to go download the Celestial Sleep and go straight into that today. There's many different ways you can get involved. We talked about the Infinite Heart and the River of Light, and the Illuminated Path. There's so many different albums that she's recorded and music that she has out there for you to access. So Ashana, it was humbling, and I'm deeply thankful to have you on today's show.
Thank you, Colleen. Thank you so much.
It really is wonderful to see you walk in your light on this earth. And I just want to remind everybody that's listening today, that has been a listener for a long time, you're the only you that's ever been, and you are the only you that will ever be. Please, please, please take these steps in your life. It will make a difference for you. You do not have to wait for things to happen to you. Get out there, design your life, and do the things that light you up. Ashana, thank you so much for being our guest today. Until next time, everyone, don't forget, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.